Hey everyone, welcome to our session today as part of the KPMG Life Sciences Summit. I'm Joe Zaccaria. I'm a managing director with our deal advisory and strategy practice. I spent about 15 years in life sciences, data and technology with a real focus on growth strategy, and spent a lot of time in the last few years around technology, AI, and data science. Really excited today to have a conversation who's Lana Feng, who's a CEO and founder of Huma.AI. Lana's joined us here and is willing to share some time and some experience. And so I'd love to have Lana introduce herself and we can get going.
Great. Thank you so much, Joe. Really, really appreciate the opportunity to talk about our favorite topic, which is AI and Gen AI. So my name's Lana Feng. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Huma.AI. So do you want me to start with kind of a journey of Huma.AI, how I get here, or?
Yeah, Lana, I'd love for you to give a little bit of background about your own professional journey through the life sciences industry. I know you've seen plenty of trends from the rise of precision medicine to next generation sequencing to advanced analytics and now generative AI. So if you could help us understand kind of your trajectory and how we got to where we are today.
That's such a great question. So I was actually kind of where I came from, right? My career journey really kind of led me to this point. So I came from a family of physicians. So my parents always wanted me to like go to med school and follow their career path. But of course, being the young Lana, and I was like, I want to do stuff at scale. So I ended up basically going to grad school and getting a PhD in genetics so that I could get into biotech and develop new drugs. So that was kind of my, did postdoc at UCSD. That was kind of my career trajectory, right? Spent over 20 years in precision medicine. And before founding Huma.AI, I was hired to build a pharma business at an oncology company called Genoptics in Southern California and grew that business from $0 to $45 million in less than 5 years. And then Novartis bought the whole company for over $500 million because of the pharma business. So as I got acquired into global pharma, so the problem all of a sudden kind of amplified at scale, right? The trials that we were working with, went from, 30, 40 to hundreds. So I'm really running into this problem as a subject matter expert that we have so much data in life sciences. And unfortunately, 80% of that data is unstructured, right? From scientific publications to our internal data, from even clinical trials, inclusion, exclusion criteria, the critical design elements. So really kind of we relying on experts manually curating that data, right? Unfortunately, that's really labor intensive, we all know, and it's error prone. And more importantly, leaving a lot of mission critical questions unanswered. So really that's the genesis of founding Huma.AI. Can we leverage, this was 2018. And can we leverage traditional transformers, the BERT and the likes, NLP to really kind of automate that process, so accelerate the creation of insights from the data for us, right? So we can bring life-saving drugs to market faster. Yeah. So it's such a progression. Like we were doing our own models, and a friend introduced us to Greg at OpenAI and saying, okay, like you can try our models. And that was kind of the rest was history. So we've been kind of working in Gen AI space for 2 years and actually deployed a validated Gen AI platform for life sciences a year ago. So just as OpenAI launched ChatGPT, really kind of saying, can we build a platform around large language models to make it accurate, to make it transparent, to make it private and secure, to really kind of meet the unique requirements for healthcare life sciences.
Yeah, that's so impressive, Lana. And I think what I've been excited about is that you have been especially working on Huma.AI since before Gen AI was common dinner place conversation, right? I feel like it was all of a sudden Thanksgiving-ish 2022 became part of our normal vernacular, but you and your team had recognized AI, period, as a trend that you wanted to build technology and applications around. So can we talk a little bit about how your organization has managed this transition from Gen AI being something that people were talking about to now Gen AI being a topic and application that everybody wants to implement as quickly as possible?
Oh my gosh, that is such a large topic, Joe. So maybe I can start with kind of our mission and philosophy, right? Our mission has always been, can we bring life-saving drugs to market faster, therefore saving patient lives? So, and then also because of this vertical that we work in, so your anything, the insights you create are basically have to be accurate, have to be transparent, so and our end users can validate and verify, right? In addition to kind of other responsible AI elements. So what we've done is very much this generative AI because in our hands because we stopped building our own models. It's like this is so much better. But then build other elements around LLMs, right? We could reach like 90% accuracy, and everything is like with a citation. So the trick is really being able to kind of combine the traditional NLP. We were doing RAG, retrieval augmented generation, before it was a thing, right? Is really kind of taking these kind of, someone said, oh, this is a layered cake. It really is a layered cake approach, right? It's the sum of all pieces. But then I want to emphasize this experts in the loop is really, really critical. So, kind of as a kind of independent validations of our approach that we're cited as a sample vendor for generative AI in 26 of Gartner hype cycles, along with Microsoft and OpenAI and Google. So that's kind of also we're part of Microsoft Pegasus program. So it allowed us to do a lot more through their Azure GPT. So what we've seen, to answer your question in the last year, is that there's so much going on, right? I like to say the constant is change.
Yeah.
And it's at a very rapid pace, right?
Yeah.
And you see like, everyone's adopting new technologies like, oh, this only came out two months ago and it was already old. So, so really, I think being able to have the mindset that it's iterative, right? It's and then also, it's okay to fail. And that's kind
Yeah.
of our mantra to begin with as a startup, right? If you
Mhm.
tell me 6 months later it doesn't work, that's not acceptable. But if you experiment for 2 to 3 weeks and saying this doesn't work, we move on to a new method, and that's okay. So that's kind of a really perfect, this agile approach is ideally suited for this fast a changing landscape. So we're being always on the lookout in the new technologies, right? Incorporating this into our platform. So we build a platform with that in mind. So everything is configurable. So we can swap in and out of different models. We can add elements to this, very much this kind of layered cake pipeline approach to Gen AI.
Great. Great. Now we take a little bit of a step back. If you're a large pharma company or even an emerging biotech, I've heard conversations with different folks across discovery, preclinical R&D, clinical R&D, clinical operations, biomarkers, commercial, med affairs, right? Everyone wants to infuse Gen AI into their workflows to make processes more efficient and bring drugs to patients faster and more efficiently. Where across that value chain do you see the largest near-term application for Gen AI? Let's start there, and then we'll get a little bit futuristic later on.
I mean, if you look at the pharma continuum, right, or life science continuum, I mean, drug discovery, that's a no-brainer. In fact, drug discovery was doing Gen AI before like LLM became a thing, right? So and you're seeing I think it's a foregone conclusion that, Gen AI is, applied in drug discovery is going to be a huge success, right? We're seeing some of those already in the clinical pipeline. So that's not what we do though, right? We're very much that insight engine that looking at research, looking at maybe pre-feasibility and clinical trials and medical affairs and commercial and post-market. So this is really interesting, right? So you look at these big companies, right? That's focused on those top 20 first, right? They have like armies of data scientists, they have armies of AI scientists, right? They are the first adopters of Gen AI, right? By working with the big tech, for example, Microsoft is a great example, providing technical solutions, allow them to build some capabilities in-house, right? So and then they have great technology. I mean, Microsoft, right? Then they also have team to kind of make that happen. But we're seeing right now, even in the top global pharma, they're saying like all the business stakeholders come to them and saying, "Hey, we think Gen AI can solve this problem, that problem." It can be like you said, hundreds of use cases. But these teams typically like led by like CIOs and CDOs and innovation or IT team and say, hold on, right? We need to kind of look at a strategic plan and maybe pick three use cases, right? And go after that. I think this is actually could be an opportunity for smaller companies, right? You think build versus buy, right? There could be even a hybrid model for these big guys, right? Of course, the next tier, a lot of companies we see basically have Azure GPT and say, but we really do not want to build use cases, right? Our expertise is developing life-saving medicines, right? So then they want to partner. And then we think there might be even opportunities with the big guys where maybe you can offer value to the use cases they're not focusing on.
Yeah, completely on the same page. So one of the areas too around any Gen AI application, it's only going to be as successful as the data that's powering the AI itself. So how have you thought about leveraging public data sets, leveraging client data, leveraging data security, and how has that infused your product roadmap and how you're bringing your Gen AI solution to pharma?
That is such a great question, right? I see data is the new oil, and that's been going on for the past 5, 10 years, right? And then data is the first step. It's like garbage in, garbage out, right? What we're seeing is that, granted, if you have passable data, it does not even have to be like extra clean data, right? This is a really one of the exciting elements of Gen AI is that it allows someone who does not know how to write SQL queries to be able to instantly get answers. And then, of course, on top of that, you'll be able to identify data gaps very quickly. So that is an added benefit that you can actually look at across data sources and see, hey, where are the gaps? Yeah. So I
So
say it's an enabler. Yeah.
yeah, when you've been working with biopharma partners or even some of your own internal R&D, are there particular sources of data, whether it's SOPs in clinical trials or drug submissions or clinical trial results, CT.gov? How are you approaching prioritization of data sources and the Gen AI applications you're able to create off of them?
It's actually very much driven by the use cases, right? We start with for example, a pharma organization, right? It's a department. It's like, okay, is it kind of scientific? Our core offering is using Gen AI to do kind of scientific literature analysis, looping clinical trials, looking at all the public data, get that insights, and then same capability apply to your private data, be it medical affairs, could be, all your thousands of market research reports, right? Getting insights. So what we see is that basically you have to kind of start with a use case, right? And then define the data sources required. And then the other thing I want to kind of distinguish is if you think about Gen AI, particularly large language models, right? It deal with text really, really well, right? But it's horrible with math. So if you look at I think we will get there, but then at this timing point that it works with very, very well with textual data, right? And then if you look at it, it's very much I like to call it the yin and yang, the reading and writing capability, right? We very much kind of focusing on the reading capability, right? Giving me the documents, giving me the data and create insights, and then leverage those insights to create documents. Like, for example, the medical affairs standing response letters and create the clinical documents, maybe even do clinical trial protocols or regulatory documents, right? But then there could be also low-hanging fruit on the writing side, right? Write me a publication, right? Write me CSR reports and what have you. I think possibilities are endless. I'm very excited to see there are different applications are popping up, right? But the key point is Gen AI is not here to replace, right? It's here to kind of free experts up from doing the mundane chores, the tasks, so that they can focus on jobs at the higher value stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, that completely makes sense, right? Gen AI is not here to replace jobs. It's here to replace workers that don't use Gen AI to make their jobs better and more efficient.
Yeah,
Yep,
yeah.
totally understand. All right, so let's flip the table a little bit. You've had a unique opportunity to engage with a wide range of biopharma partners. I guess when you think about those larger biotech groups that are engaging Gen AI suppliers in a productive and efficient way versus some that might not be as favorable or as kind of forward thinking in their approaches, how are you kind of what are you seeing as commonalities in those different companies?
I think the commonalities is that everyone is kind of accepting Gen AI is the future, right? And we started to see, I think 2023 is about very much about experimentation. And 2024 now is about, can we actually build use cases that bring tangible business values, right? So in terms of kind of the approach, it's going to be different depending on which kind of customer segment you're coming from, right? Are you big global, you have the in-house capability, or you need maybe smaller ones that you want to outsource. So I think that's the approach. And I think there's I really emphasize with the market, with our clients, because as you know, right, there's so much noise in the market and everyone claim that they can do something, right? We always say we can do the same thing. So that's why these trade shows can be really challenging, right? So if I were a pharma company, a biotech company, it's like, who do I go with, right?
Yeah.
So I think the challenge is, and then of course, then you go with pilots, right? So the thing is that, if you're able to, let's say, have the goods and actually show it, be able to show your clients before you like sign contracts and what have you, right? And that I think it's definitely advantageous. And then also be able to deliver. I think it's so much vaporware out there, right? I think if customers and they get burned once, then I think it's gonna hurt the kind of the entire industry. So I really feel like we really should back it up, right? Because there's
Yeah.
so much noise. I think it's just really difficult to cut through that.
Yeah. Yeah. Completely on the same page. When you think about, I think every time I feel like I open the Wall Street Journal, I see things around like companies engaging an enterprise-wide Gen AI strategy, which is on one end of the spectrum. And then there's individual Gen AI applications for specific answers to specific questions or specific processes at a drug or trial or even trial site level. Like, where's the best place to start a Gen AI journey if you're a larger pharma company?
If I were a larger pharma company, typically it is a top-down approach,
Mhm.
right? And then my recommendation is like continue with your enterprise approach, right? And really build that strategy and then find the pieces that can plug it in. So in fact, because of that strategy, all our offerings have API access. So we can plug into your IT, your enterprise strategy, be a piece of your solution rather than the entire solution. And my other advice is that don't count out your business stakeholders yet, right? Let them experiment with, startups at a smaller scale on specific use cases, and then see where it takes them. Because the IT teams, the enterprise teams are really great at building, like you said, these large scale systems, right? I was at Scope. I mean, seeing how J&J building this entire platform for for clinical research is pretty amazing, right? But as a startup, I think we had that conversation. It's like, the hardest thing is to sell a platform. So you have to focus, right? So from a startup perspective, it's great to work with these business stakeholders on specific use case and then show value. And then kind of it's almost like a reverse way to get integrated into the enterprise strategy. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely does. That's amazing. Lana, this has been a phenomenal conversation. Really glad that we had the chance to connect today. And really appreciate you sharing your journey with our friends at KPMG and everybody calling in to our Life Sciences Summit.
It's been fun. Thank you so much, Joe.